We are here at the White House today to unmask Antifa.
Antifa thugs.
Antifa.
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 Antifa. Antifa.
Antifa.
Antifa.
Antifa.
Antifa.
Antifa.
Antifa.
Antifa.
Antifa.
Antifa.
Antifa.
Antifa.
Antifa.
Antifa.
Antifa. Antifa. Antifa. Antifa.
The Antifa thugs.
Do the whole Antifa thing.
Hello and welcome to Talking Shit About, a monthly podcast where I, Elizabeth Wipperman, interview someone about something they love, something they hate, something they've been through, or something they just know a lot about, and hopefully by the end we've all learned something. This is a Microsode, a little treat in between interviews where I rant and ramble about a topic for a few minutes. Today we are talking about Antifa, or Antifa if you enunciate better than I do, which is short for anti-fascist, which is an ideology, and we'll be referring to it as anti-fascist for the rest of this Microsode. When I was making the intro for this episode, which I had a blast doing, by the way, I watched 4 or 5 different videos of right-wing news outlets or the White House talking about Antifa and the threat that they pose, how the money is coming in from somewhere, we just gotta follow it, and they never once explain what Antifa, and every time I say Antifa, I'm doing air quotes, you can't see that, but they never actually explicitly say what that stands for, which again is anti-fascist, because it totally changes the narrative when you say Antifa is attacking ICE detention facilities versus anti-fascists are protesting outside of ICE detention facilities, because it changes the narrative from, oh, this group of hoodlums, this group of thugs in their black clothes and their face masks are harassing our brave soldiers, our brave ICE agents. And it sounds a lot different than anti-fascists are standing outside of ICE detention facilities and protesting, because that makes you think that perhaps anti-fascists are fighting fascism, which would then mean that our current administration is fascist. So that is why I think they are not defining anti-fascist or Antifa in that way. So that was definitely interesting to me. If you noticed, today I don't have a script. Usually I have a script, I have a bunch of notes. This is something I know a lot about. There isn't that much to read from. I will have a bunch of resources in the show notes for further reading and some explanations, but I'm doing the classic podcaster thing where I just kind of talk out my ass, because if all these fucking dudes who don't know what the fuck they're talking about get to talk about Antifa and the Antifa threat, then I, as somebody who has identified as Antifa or has been a part of groups that are anti-fascist in nature, I think I'm qualified to talk about it. So that's what we're doing today. So I mentioned anti-fascism is an ideology. It comes from Germany and the anti-fascist movement in Nazi Germany. So again, I want to emphasize it's an ideology. It is not a network. It is not one particular group or a bunch of different groups. It's an ideology in the same way that conservatism is an ideology. So you will have queer conservatives, and you'll have conservatives who think that queerness is a mental illness or a disease. In the same way, so you'll also have, anti-fascists who are down to throw hands and maybe show up with a weapon to a protest. Or you have anti-fascists who create zines and pamphlets and help out the homeless community. It's a wide array of people with different beliefs. They are united under this one idea that fascism is bad. In the same way that conservatism is a wide array of beliefs, but essentially small government is the is the binding belief. So again, it is not a network of groups. There are probably groups that call themselves anti-fascist or Antifa. There are groups that might use the logo of the 2 flags. They might wave around red and black flags. That's something they're deciding to do because of their ideology, not because it is part of the group uniform or like an expectation. You could show up to a protest in, I don't know, a frog suit and still be anti-fascist. And so with the White House declaring Antifa and anti-fascists as domestic terrorists is bonkers. Because if you listen to the Ruby Ridge series, you heard me mention that the number one domestic terrorism threat is white nationalists. And I will have a link in the show notes to information on that, because there has only been one suspected death in connection with Antifa. Again, those air quotes, anti-fascists, versus the plethora and real genuine threat of right-wing violence. Another talking point I want to talk about, I guess, real quick, is the idea that Antifa is well-funded and that you just gotta follow the money. There is no money in anti-fascist work. I have this observation about the world, at least the United States. I'm sure there are exceptions, but it's my observation that things that are good for the world usually don't make money, and the things that make a lot of money are usually not very good for the world. So why is the government going after nonprofits? Nonprofits have to apply for grants. They get donations from wealthy individuals and sometimes non-wealthy individuals who want to further that mission. And it's usually some kind of social service or something that is good for the world. And so any group that is anti-fascist in nature and is a nonprofit, that is where they're getting their money. The reason why nonprofits exist is because the government is not funding these services that are necessary for people to survive and thrive. And I don't know if you have ever tried to organize with leftists, but it is incredibly difficult. One of the groups I was in quite a few years ago, a bunch of anarchists and communists, and guess what we did? We served people experiencing homelessness. We did hot meals, especially on holidays, helped people get cell phones, build structures to put their stuff in, real scary shit. And getting everyone to be able to meet at the same time, because everybody is poor, everybody's working multiple jobs. It's difficult to get people to organize in that way. So the idea that Antifa is this highly organized group is so preposterous, because if you, again, have ever tried to organize any kind of group, but again, especially leftists who in general are kind of poor and again, working multiple jobs and volunteering and doing whatever else they do, it's really difficult to get people to organize. So that point is totally moot. There is no money. That's the reason why bail funds exist, is because there is no central organized funding. You have all these different groups like nonprofits coming together to fill in these gaps to help people meet their basic needs or have their human rights, just have human rights. So I think that is enough rambling for today. If you want more information, I'll have links to further reading and watching and listening in the show notes. Real quick, hey Joey, thanks for becoming a Patreon subscriber. Sorry, this is the episode that we're doing the shout out on, but that's how the cookie crumbled. And if you want to support the show, if you notice, it's ad-free, and if you have ads on whatever platform you're using, use a different platform. You can support me on Patreon at patreon.com/talkingshitabout. There's one tier, and it is $5 a month, and you get weekly bonus or behind-the-scenes content or early access. And if you want to support the show for free, you can subscribe on your favorite podcasting platforms, turn on automatic downloads, and give the show a rating. So, to close out the episode, I'll just reiterate, anti-fascism, or Antifa, or Antifa, is an ideology, not an organized, well-funded group. It's just your friends, your neighbors, your family fighting back against injustice. So, thank you for listening. We'll see you in a couple of weeks for another interview.